Low recoil and handguns. This is going to be my most recommended ammo and recommended setup. And it's only one of these here. But I have some comparisons to do here. And what I'm going to say is I'm looking for a small gun that can fit in a pocket, and it's going to be super low recoil, because I get a lot of questions about that. And what I want to do here is I want to compare the 22 long rifle to the 32 Smith & Wesson long and the 380 ACP, and this right here is what I recommend to most people for low recoil but still good power. 32 Smith & Wesson long, it's our 98 grain semi-jacket hollow point by MagTech. That round has a little bit extra power compared to a lot of 32 Smith & Wesson longs, yet the recoil is still kind of like a 22, and the reason why is because I use a Ruger LCR 327 Federal Magnum revolver to fire it through. And that's really, you know, tweaking the results to what I want it to be, because this is about 17 ounces. When we're talking like this little LCP here, I'm going to test some 380, and this Beretta here, we're talking, you know, 9-10 ounces. That's a little bit heavier, and that helps absorb the recoil, and it also is an effective round. So what I have for 22, I have some Remington Viper 22. This was sent over by one of my Patreons, Dan, about a year ago. I've not tested it yet, but it's a 36 grain truncated cone. So that's kind of like a semi-wad cutter. And that's what we're looking for when we're looking for a defensive round for 22. That's why Federal Punch is kind of popular nowadays. Not really a hollow point, we're looking for penetration. Our 380 here, that is a 95 grain jacket of hollow point. It's the basic Winchester white box, Winchester USA stuff. And that's actually the round that I carry in this LCP when I carry it, because that's exactly what I'm looking for. You know, it's not particularly good round or good expander all the time, but that's what we're looking for in 380 as well. Similar things that we're looking for in 22. We have kind of moderate expansion. I've not actually tested this in gel yet, but generally this type of ammo, you get moderate expansion, but you still get adequate penetration, and that's the key. We want penetration. If we get some expansion on top of that, fine. If we don't, then we don't, but at least we got the penetration. So I'm going to test all these three here, especially this one. This is my most recommended round for low recoil, and specifically through an LCR 327. So I'm going to go through the chronograph with these rounds, see what kind of velocity, accuracy, energy, all that we get with these rounds. I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test like I always do. 4 layers of denim followed by 3 inches of clear ballistics to represent hitting a pectoral muscle, followed by a 1/4 inch MDF to represent hitting ribs or sternum, and 2 more clear ballistics. I'll do a shot with the MDF because that represents our ribs and sternum. I'll pull it out and we'll do a shot without it to represent our gut shot. And then I'm going to go up from 10 yards today and do some practical accuracy drills. You know, this is stuff that people don't always think about. They just see the ballistics and say it has good ballistics, but it's going to shoot as good too. And really a lot of times there's other issues that come into play that people don't necessarily think about when it comes to firing a gun quickly in self-defense. So let's get started with this test. By the way, our test guns, we have our LCP, Ruger LCP, it's 2.75 inch barrel. Our Ruger LCR, 1.9 inch barrel, and our Beretta Bobcat is a 2.4 inch barrel. So let's see what we get with our Beretta Bobcat with those 22 LR truncated cone. They don't really want to feed very well off that magazine. That's not good. That's one problem with 22, not necessarily very reliable, even racking rounds. So let's see what we get with this one. 885, 829, 859, 825, 793. Kind of what you might expect with something like that. Let's move on to our 380, 95 grain. And by the way, you know, I just want to show something here. This is actually how I carry this gun. I carry this gun with just 6 rounds in it. I don't keep it racked because when I'm carrying this, I'm carrying it for deeper concealment, and I'm kind of have it in places on my body I don't really want a round racked in it because it doesn't have a safety. So let's see what we get for velocity and accuracy. No read. 894. No read. All right, it's not wanting to read very well, but we got that one reading of 894 feet per second. Now let's move on to our 32 Smith & Wesson long. 98 grain, so almost the same weight as that 380. Let's see what we get with this. 676, 711, 722, 714, 720. Now, not very fast velocity, so less powerful than that 380, but you know, it has a semi-jacketed hollow point, not just a straight jacketed, and that's kind of the cheating part of revolver rounds. So sometimes if you have less power, they can still do good because of the bullet design. It's much softer tipped. So let's hit our Ballistics gel block, see what we get with these rounds. All right, first up we have our 22. I'm gonna do a shot with the MDF and then without the MDF, and then we'll take a look at it. So here is our 1/4 inch MDF with our 36 grain truncated nose. No MDF? Go take a look. All right, so what we're seeing there, and I have to kind of show this to kind of show what's going on. It does appear it's tumbling, and that's something I've seen a lot of times with 22 and pistols. So both of these bolts are backwards. With our MDF, we got a penetration of about 6.5 inches. No MDF, we got a penetration of about 8.5 inches. There's no expansion, anything like that on those. And that's pretty typical for some ammo. Now with like Federal Punch, we're gonna get closer up to a more traditional range, but with stuff like this, I've seen it time and time again. Just bulk ammo, anything similar to that, it does not penetrate very well. So let's try a 380, see how that does. All right, 380. I'm really curious about this because I've never ran it in gel yet, and being my carry round, I should sort of know. So through our 1/4 inch MDF, let's see how our Winchester White Box USA does. No MDF, just our gut shot. All right, and you don't see an expansion, but that's exactly how I wanted it to perform. Exactly. And I often see this, it depends on the bullet weight and the caliber, but oftentimes what a lot of people say is not true. They say, well, if it doesn't expand, it turns into a full metal jacket. And honestly, a lot of the times it does not. A lot of the times the nose is flatter, and just the way that hollow cavity interacts with the material, it penetrates less. So with our MDF shot, we actually got really good damage in there, and we got a penetration of about 14 inches even. We go up to the one without MDF, we got a penetration of about 15 3/4. So even though we didn't get expansions, this looks perfect to me. This is definitely what I'd want. So let's try our 32 long and see how that does. All right, 32 long. Before I do this test, I just want to say this legitimately felt like that 22. It actually felt like less recoil because the grips on revolvers have a lot of cushioning. And compared to that 380, this had like half the felt recoil. So let's see how this will do. 1/4 inch MDF. No MDF, just our gut shot. All right, they came close to a track but didn't actually hit it. And what we're seeing here is what I was saying with the bullets being kind of, you know, cheating a little bit with revolver rounds, because you can change the tips, you know, of those rounds to softer. We got a lot of expansion against that MDF, but we didn't without the MDF. So here's our MDF with our 22, our 380, and our 32. You see, our 32 is actually the same size as that 380 because it's getting expansion right away. And pushing through the MDF, which would kind of be like ribs or sternum, it's limiting that, but it's providing expansion. So with our MDF shot, we got about 10.5 inches. No MDF. It actually beats the 380 a little bit. We're at about 16 1/4. Now, I'm going to shoot from 10 yards, and this is why it's really important. You might look at this and say, well, the 380 kind of beat the 32, but maybe not. Well, there's a bigger point to that, so let's go to that 10 yards and do some practical shooting. All right, 10 yards from the target. A lot of people will list the merits of a 22 as being, you know, that you can put all those rounds on target and not miss faster than any other cartridge. So I'm going to see what I can do. Try to get a good grip on this. I'm gonna pull up and get as fast as sight picture as I can, flip off that safety, see how many hits I can get from this 10 yards here. Jam, last round. There we go. Not necessarily perfect, but that's what we got. 380 ACP here. Let's just say that I did have a round in that chamber. Now, a lot of people, they don't realize how much everyday circumstances can affect the reliability of a gun. Now, this might run smooth, but a lot of times people will get this idea that, yo, I'm tough, I'll never have a limp wrist, I shoot on the range like this, I'm so good. Reality comes where they need a firearm, they're not going to have that perfect stance. So if I don't have that perfect stance, I just pull this thing off and I just start shooting. See what I can actually do with this. Perfect point made. This happens all the time when you do real world stuff, real world training. And the reason why I do it is because I know 100% that I'm not going to have a perfect grip on that pistol. Stuff like that can happen, especially for someone that's weaker, smaller. Try it again. And I just kind of shot it, let it go a little bit, just to get a real world situation. You know, I've seen my girlfriend shoot. I've seen her. That's how she shoots. It happens. So I had a lot of recoil, a lot of punch in my hand. Now I got the 32 Smith & Wesson long here. That's a revolver cartridge. Now I'm not going to try to make all these hits. I'm actually going to throw them the same way I threw the other ones, but I just want to kind of see what we get. So, you know, I might miss, but let's check its reliability. And it seemed more reliable to me. People say you can't do a reload in time. Well, questionable. I got a reload going there. Hold one there. And let me do one reload with the 380 here. You know, I got my 6-round mag, and I carry a spare 7-round somewhere in one of these pockets here. It does give me a little bit more grip on that pistol, and maybe that would help me. Let's try the same thing. I'll actually aim like I just did with the 32, see how it does. Malfunction. A lot of people saying, why do you get so many malfunctions? Because I'm real world and I don't cut them out of my clips. Not these clips, but you know what I'm saying. All right, that was fun. I'm gonna go back to like 50 yards just for the fun of it with just the 380. Well, I got some 22 rounds. I got some various rounds that are very similar to these white box ones. I think they're PPUs. I think they're same bullet weight or 90 grain hollow points. I got some Remington Thunderbolts for the 22, and then I got a bunch more of these Smith & Wesson long rounds. Go back to 50 yards, just kind of throw them. I like to do that. People say, well, you know, why do that? Well, I am a country boy, and that's just fun to do. So let's see what we get. All right, 50 yards from the target, 22 long rifle. A lot of people kind of scoff at these pistols and they say, that ain't good for more than 10 feet. Well, they do have small sights, but what if you just really take your time and aim? 50 yards from the target. So I can do it this. A little high. All right, 50 yards is 150 feet. That's a little further than 10 feet. 380 ACP. Now I try not to scoff at it. I really do think it's a good option, or else I wouldn't have bought one. And you got 14 rounds here with one of these extendo mags in addition to your, you know, what's in your gun. So for 14 rounds of 9mm diameter ammo isn't a bad choice, but they are kind of hard to shoot. Let me see what I can do with this. All right, I was able to make a couple hits, but it's, you know, it's not as easy as I thought it would be. Try again. I'm already hurting pretty bad from the recoil that, you know, slapping back into my finger. So now, time to move on to the 32 Smith & Wesson long revolver. See how this will do for me. Shooting pretty high. Reloading is a lot slower, but it's doable. All right, so I dialed in on that. And really what the takeaway of this video is I really want to show that the 32 Smith & Wesson long is, in my opinion, it is the best low recoil option you can get. Especially when you get in a gun like this where it's 17 ounces. It's just light enough you can carry. Generally for me, I can pocket carry anywhere up to about 22 ounces, but above that, it's just too much. You know, the momentum of it moving when I walk is too much. This is really light for me, actually. And if I were to actually compare this to my LCP, I could not tell a difference, because when I put them in my pocket, you know, it's moving with my leg. So to me, that they weigh the exact same. If you carry in a different body position, obviously it would probably feel different to you. But, you know, the takeaways here are exactly what I was hoping to show, because they are what my experience have always been. When you try to just train with those rounds, with the 380, with those light stuff, with 22s, you get malfunctions. It happens. You know, a lot of people, they get these big, long, like M&P 9s like I have, and they'll shoot 9mm and they won't get a jam, and they'll just assume, well, you know, if I spot an LCP, it's just, you know, autos are just as reliable as revolvers nowadays. Well, duty-sized 9mm are. But when you change caliber, you change gun size, all of that, no. You lose pretty much all of it. As for this, I've been shooting this for 3 years. I have yet to have a malfunction of any kind. And that recoil was half that of that 380 in that gun, about the same as that 22, and all around, much better ballistic performance. So that's what you get today. I just wanted to shed some light on the 32 long. It is an excellent cartridge, and more specifically, that MagTech with that semi-jacketed hollow point really puts a lot of damage out there. It's a good round, so that's what you get. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.